If you think I'm protective of my plants and guard them furiously, well, you're 100% correct. But just because I protect my plants like they're my kids doesn't mean I'm not willing to cut a piece off to share with a friend. Today, we're talking about propagation and how to make a few plants, lots of plants. Propagation isn't sorcery. It's actually quite simple. So today, I'm going to show you 3 methods, starting with the easiest, division. Some plants grow with underground rhizomes, runners or bulbs, and they can literally just be pulled or cut apart. This is Dracaena Moonshine, or you might know it as Sansevieria. It's recently had a name change. Now, what was one plant is 3 plants. Dracaena is actually a really tough plant and can take lots of neglect, partly because of the water which is stored in the underground rhizome and leaves. Obviously, make sure you get some of the roots in each clump. But once you've done that, it's ready to pot in some fresh mix and give it a good water. Over the next few months, both of these will grow new roots and establish into their own plants. Just make sure you don't water it too much. Let the top 2 centimetres dry out. Zamioculcas, Calathea and chlorophytum are other common indoor plants that can be divided in this way. Lots of plants can be propagated by taking a cutting. I'll show you how to do it today using this syngonium. Make sure your cutters are sharp and clean, then find the node, which is an interval in a stem where the leaves appear, and make a cut at least 1 centimetre below the node. If you're not quite ready to get it potted up, you can park it in some water for a couple of weeks. It's a little bit like a holding bay and it'll keep it alive and viable, but don't keep it in there too long because there's no nutrients and also it's more prone to bacteria and fungi. Don't be fooled by any little roots you see growing in the water. The roots a plant produces underwater are different to roots it'll need in soil. So once you move it, those roots will take a while to re-establish in potting mix. When you're ready to plant, dip the base of your cutting into a hormone gel or powder. This seals the wound to infection and stimulates the plant to start putting out roots. Then I put my cuttings into perlite. Perlite is the magic ingredient we talked about a while ago. It's super porous, expanded volcanic glass. It's really light, so it allows roots to grow comfortably and also drains freely. Your cuttings are really vulnerable at this point, so keep an eye on them. Now, to keep that perlite from drying out too quickly and to boost humidity, I make a little mini glass house by tying a plastic bag around the pot, just like this. Just make sure you take the bag off once a week to release any excess humidity. Put them in a bright, warm spot out of direct sun. It might take a few months, but eventually you'll see new roots poking out the bottom of the pot. And that's when your new plant can be potted up in soil mix. The next method is called air layering. Some plants will naturally produce aerial roots from the stems if they're given the right conditions. I use this method mostly for aroids and climbing plants. Being able to propagate and duplicate plants like this is how I achieve the visual effect of this thick, full plant. This totem here is actually multiple individual plants that I've propagated from the mother plant and then potted back into the pot. This is also really easy to do. In fact, it's easier than taking a cutting. What we're trying to do is encourage this stem to develop roots while it's still connected to the mother plant. Because it's got the vigour of the main root system behind it, it's far more likely to thrive. Put a new pot next to your existing plant. I just use my regular potting mix here and take that long leggy offshoot that's still connected to the mother plant and pin it down. Just so that that node is just under the soil. Now, when that develops new roots, you can cut the vine and voila, you've got a new plant. If you want to take aerial layering to new heights, this option is really simple, but still fiddly enough to make you feel like an indoor gardening guru. I use this method for plants that don't have flexible stems or that have grown too tall, like this one. Now, if you can't take the plant to the potting media, you can take the potting media to the plant. I'm going to take this pot, pack it with perlite, and then wrap it around the stem where I want to encourage new roots to grow. First, cut the pot in half and cut a little circle in the bottom of the pot for the stem to fit through. Put some rooting hormone on the aerial root buds of the mother plant. And then close both halves of the pot around the stem. Tape it closed and pack it with perlite. And you can wrap it in cling wrap to keep the moisture in. Give it some water, and over the coming weeks, the plant should be triggered into producing some new aerial roots. Once you see them through the clear pot, it's time to cut the top off the mother plant below and plant it up. If you love your plants, like I do, why not make more of them? This is something we can all do. It's nothing to be scared of, and I hope today I have given you the confidence to give propagation a go.